Okay, so welcome everybody to this session on April 24th of PMP route. Thank you for taking the time to join this session. Today is a very special session because our friend William is going to do the presentation. So it's going to be something very interesting about integration management and governance, a little bit of a blend between um, what used to be the PMBOK 6 or the Group of Processes Practice Guide and what is now the PMBOK 8. It applies for those taking the exam in the next 9 weeks. Remember, the exam is changing basically in 9 weeks, 9 to 10 weeks. So yeah, welcome, William, and thank you for your time and effort.
Yeah, it's all my pleasure. I'm actually happy to be able to share the little knowledge that I have, and I also hope that during this session we are going it's going to be more interactive so that we can actually be sharing the different knowledges that we have. So I'm really happy to be with you guys. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. You guys should just let me know when you see the presentation so that we can actually start. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yeah, it is visible. Good.
Okay, perfect. So, welcome to Janelle, Paul, Clayton, and Ramsey, and Google Pixel. I don't know who Google Pixel is, but I just want us to have to make sure that this session is kind of interactive. So if anyone has any question at any time, just feel free to stop. And sometime I'll be taking some breaks so that I can ask one or two questions to make sure that we are actually synchronized. Okay. So we are going to talk about the governance part of project management, and obviously we are going to make sure that everything that's been said here is aligned with the PMI book. As you all know, PMI is going to change the way the exam is being presented by the end of June. So we'll leave from PM Book 7 to PM Book 8. So we are going to have a brief presentation about that. So the agenda, it's quite a simple one. We'll start by having an introduction on the purpose of this session that we are presently having, and we'll have to talk about what PMI is actually looking for, okay? And generally, all our sessions, we always like to reiterate on it and make sure that it sinks in everyone's mind that is following us. We are going to talk about some common pitfalls when you are studying for the PMP certification and the requirements for the PMP. Obviously, we are going to enter into the core of this session, which is to talk about the project management domain, particularly governance, also known as integration in the previous PM book, particularly PM book 6. And lastly, we are going to talk about the studying plan and eligibility. So, in a nutshell, that's what we are going to have as the agenda. So, why are we having this session? What's the purpose for us to organize this free webinar? The first thing is to let you know that the PMP certifications requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of knowledge. The demand for the PMP certification is really high. High in two terms. First, in the sense that a lot of people want to be PMP certified because it brings a certain boost in their professional career and even in their personal life, for those that have businesses and even those that want to improve the way they actually manage projects. That's the first thing. The second high demand is related to the PMP certification itself. It really requires a lot from you. It's not just a certification that you just wake up one day and decide to go and do it. No, it requires a lot of preparation. It's really demanding, and that's why we are here to be able to help you with that. And most candidates fail not because they are not good, not because they are not good project managers, not because they don't have the knowledge, but because they lack structure. Okay, this is a certification, so they are testing a particular kind of mindset. If you don't have that mindset, you won't make it for you can't pass the exam no matter how good you are as a project manager. So now when you start studying, if you don't study with a particular structure that will help you to understand this PMI mindset, obviously you are going to be misled, and the process that is already demanding will be even more demanding for you, and at the end you may not achieve the results that you actually expected. So this session is actually for professionals, people that really want to dedicate themselves for the next 8 weeks, next 4 weeks, next 5 weeks, to be able to make it for the exam. And also for people that want to know how the next structure of the exam will be. If you intend to take your exam after the introduction of PMBOK 8, good and fine. This session, it will be very interesting for you, because we are going to talk also a little bit about PMBOK 8. So this particular place where we talk about what PMI actually evaluates, we like to reiterate on it. There are different stages in what PMI is actually evaluating from you. The first is that it's your knowledge. Okay, PMI expects you to understand and remember certain tools, certain notions, certain procedures, certain processes that you must have learned while you were preparing. And the next thing is, how are you going to apply it in certain environments? Okay, and that's why we are talking about decision making. So once you have acquired the knowledge, you should be able to analyze the knowledge, and analyzing the knowledge should be able to permit you to decide, to take decisions. So that's why here we're talking about decision making, which is based on analyzing the knowledge that you have and knowing how to apply it. And it's also very important for you to have the leadership mindset that's expected from PMI. Okay, we have different types of leaders, we have many type of leaders, but now what is the PMI leadership mindset that you need to have when you are managing projects? For example, PMI really likes to talk about servant management. Okay, servant leaders. Just a question, who has already heard about servant leaders? You can just open your mic and speak, you don't need to lift up your hand. Okay, Janelle, what's the servant leader if I ask you?
That's someone with the ability to coach and serve their team, improving their competencies and removing blockers.
Yeah, exactly. So generally when we talk about servant leaders, it's, as the name implies, it's a servant. Excellent answer. It's just a servant, okay? And we have it most in the agile processes. And one thing is important to note is that the PMI is not going to judge you if you can create a project plan, if you can create a risk management plan. No, PMI does not judge on that. They expect you to know it, so they are not going to judge you on if you can create one. But definitely, the questions are situational judgment. That is, they are going to give a certain situation. Using the knowledge you have, you need to understand the situation, analyze the information that was given to you, and propose a certain answer related to that. So now, we said that we are going to talk a little bit about what we have in PM Book 8. Just for a little history, PM Book 7 was already talking about, PM Book 6, sorry, was already talking about integration, and PM Book 6 and PM Book 8 are a little bit similar. In PM Book 7, there was really a drastic change in the way PMI wanted project managers to handle projects. But uh, I don't know really the details, but I have the impression that it did not really go as planned. So they kind of came back to what we had in PM Book 6. So if you read your PM Book 6, you are going to read a lot about integration, and it's very similar to governance that we have in PM Book 8. And in PM Book 8, just like in all the PMP books, we always have our focus areas. Okay. When you're managing a project, there are 5 phases. No matter how we call it, we always have those 5 phases. We have the initiating phase, we have the planning phase, we have the execution, monitoring, and lastly, the closing phase. All those 5 phases are there, and in PM Book 8, governance is the only performance domain that appears in all those 5 phases. Just to tell you how the importance that PM Book 8 gives to governance. Okay. Now, when we talk about governance, in the initiation phase, we're actually talking about initiating the project. What are the different things that you as a project manager you need to do to be able to initiate your project? Governance applies also in planning focus area, okay, where you have to integrate and align project plans and make sure that you are able to source the sourcing of the different strategy that you apply in your project. Governance also in the execution phase is about manage project execution, manage the quality, and manage the knowledge. Okay, because one of the things that PMI really insists is about assets, the project assets. How do you document your knowledge? How do you manage your knowledge to make sure that everything is being, you have a trace of everything that is actually being done. Governance also interferes at the level of monitoring and control. Here we are talking about performance assets. We're talking about implementation of changes, okay? Because when you're managing projects, changes are not just automatical. You need to follow certain procedures depending on the project that you're actually having. Just excuse me. Okay, sorry, I had an in call in my teams. Okay, and lastly, we also talk about governance when we want to close our project or in the closing phase of the project. Okay, you have to make sure that you follow the different governance that is being made available by the PMI, and it's kind of related to actually what we had in the PM book 6. So, Ricardo, can you tell us a little bit more what you know about the PM book 6 and about integration?
Okay, so integration management is the basically the knowledge area that mm, justifies the payment of the project manager first. In the group of processes, a practice guide, the knowledge area of integration is where you are building the project management plan with all the subsidiary documents and project management plans, like a scope management plan, resource management plan, change management, configuration management plan, and all the documents. And in PMBOK 8, basically, uh, governance is integration plus a principle from the PMBOK 7. Okay, so here's where we have that bridge between PMBOK 7 and 6 through PMBOK 8.
Okay,
And in this case, governance, besides being integration, has a lot of principles regarding policies, authority, accountability, decision making, and value delivery. Okay, so it also tells you who makes the decisions, who is oversighting the project. Something that I find very interesting as well is that now quality is not a knowledge area, but it is embedded in governance as well as other processes that disappeared in the PMBOK uh, 8 edition. Okay, so I think that would be mainly the key element for this knowledge area. Okay,
okay, perfect.
good.
Thank you for that, Rico. So now, we have really talked about governance. So let's try to have some definitions, okay? Because according to PMBOK, governance is a performance domain that focuses on oversight, decision-making authority, and ensuring project delivers its intended value. When we talk about a project, the objective of a project is to deliver value. And there are particular values that are intended to be delivered by a project. So a project is not just about delivering values, but delivering values that were intended for the project, which is quite important when we talked about project management. So here we have an emphasis. It's not just a knowledge area, just like Rico said a while ago. It is a domain that spans the entire project life cycle. And I said it previously. All the phases of a project, we are actually talking about governance. So it oversees the policies, authorities, and accountability structures, because we know when you're managing a project, the policies varies depending on the company where you are. As a project manager, you have to respect the policies of the company, the country where you are, the states where you are, and so on and so forth. So all those things actually fall under governance. And that's why it's important that governance should appear in all the stages of your project. Okay. And it's also about decision making. Who makes the decision? Who has authority to make the decision? You, as a project manager, what is your own limit? That's what we are talking about when we talk of governance, okay? And obviously, value delivery, ensuring that the project outcomes align with the business goal, okay? Because it's very important to know this. You should not just be talking about delivering values, but you should be talking about delivering the right value, the correct value. So if there's anything that I expect you guys to leave from this our session, this is one of the things that you should definitely keep in mind. Okay, governance is about delivering the intended value of the project, and governance interferes in all the life cycle of our project. Okay, so this being said, obviously, in according to PMI, each time that we have a performance domain, we always have some tools that help us to be able to apply the different notions and principles of that particular domain. Okay, now the integration here in the initiation phase is just similar to what we had previously by developing the project charter, because I just need to remind you that the project charter is a document that grants the project manager the authority to use the resources to start a project. So in according to PMI, okay, a project charter is what should actually be given to the project manager to start his project. So the inputs that we have in the initiation phase are generally the business documents, the agreement, enterprise environmental factors, organizational processes, and we have the tools and techniques. Obviously, if you want to build for the integration phase, you can use the expert judgment, data gathering, interpersonal and teams skills that you can actually use, meetings and responsibilities. All these are just tools that you can actually use to implement the government at the level of the first phase that you have in your project, and what is actually expected to come out of the initial phase is, as I previously said, the project charter and the assumption log, and you can have other documents that are going to come out of it. Now, integration and aligning plans, okay? It's actually very important for us to understand that when we are talking about governance, governance we cannot talk about governance without talking about integration, okay? Though we have different principles, though we have different performance domain, though we have different tools, one thing that the PMI wants us to understand is that all those things work hand in hand. So we should always be having an integration for all those different tools that we have at our disposal. So here we are talking about the key tools and techniques that we can actually use. As I said previously, we have the expert judgment that helps you to validate the assumptions and the standards from that you obtained. You can use brainstorming. So these different tools, it will also be important for us to actually learn them as we are moving forward with our PMI set when as we're moving forward preparing for the PMI certification. So I'm not really going to take much time to talk about it. And it's the same thing here at the level of planning and procurement strategy. You have the tools that you can that can actually help you to be able to implement that. For example, you have the make or buy analysis, because in a project there are a lot of things that need to be done. There are certain works that you can't do internally. There are certain works that you can do internally. So as a project manager, one of the tools that you use to determine what should be done internally or that you need to outsource is the make or do analysis, which is actually very important for us to actually learn and know how to use it. But for this particular session, we are not really going to take much time to elaborate about it, but definitely that's something that you actually need to learn. So now, I just want us to take a break from governance to talk a little bit about studying for the PMP certification. Do you want to introduce this part, Ricardo, please?
Yeah, just a quick note, like initiate project or phase used to be develop project charter, so it's more intuitive to initiate project or phase, I would say. Integrate and align plans is basically develop the project management plan before. Plan procurement strategy basically used to be a knowledge area. And about this topic in particular, about the study plan, maybe some of you know already, but it's not bad to remember. Avoid passive learning. Try to have a plan. Follow that plan. Look at your wrong questions. Don't be over reliant on free content. You do need PMI study hall or some ATP authorized training partner material to pass your PMP, and have a plan and follow it. This is actually William's plan. He did it in 4 weeks about,
Yeah.
started in February 16 and took the exam on March 21st. And he started even with the application. So it's feasible. So being constant is very important, and finding those blind spots also. I think that's what I would have to say about this study plan. Um, Avoid passive learning at all cost. Don't only read and read and read, but try to practice, 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 and find your blind spots as soon as possible. Have an accountability partner, could be your special one, your boss, your manager, or a coach or a mentor. That's very important. So then you can follow a path, a known path. That's what
Yeah.
I would like to add in this slide. And about
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, Rico. So, talking about passive learning, Ricardo talked about one part of it. The other
Mhm.
part that I will talk about passive learning is the fact that you are not dedicated to your studies. Okay, one of the worst things that you can actually do is to start learning for the PMP certification without being dedicated to it. Okay, you are not going to go anywhere, because to be able to have the knowledge, know how to analyze it, know how to implement it, and know how to answer PMP questions, it really requires a lot of dedication. So most students fail not because they don't know whatsoever, but actually because they lack that dedication when they are actually studying. It's actually very important to do that. So now, before we continue, I'll just keep this here. Okay, perfect. So now, before we continue, we are just going to have a question, and you guys can. I just want to have a volunteer that can read the question, and you can answer in the chat. Just answer A, B, C, or D, or you can just open your mic to answer. But I would like to have a volunteer that will read the question, please. Any volunteer to read the question?
I can read it. Maybe next time
Okay.
someone else can read it. So the finance manager of a company wants to replace legacy accounting software with cloud-based ERP system. Which document is used to provide justification for seeking senior management approval? A, project charter, B, project management plan, C, benefits register, D, business case. So you can vote in the chat or open up your mic. This is question 1.
Any answers?
Not yet. D, there's a
The
D.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll bring out the notes that I brought out here.
Mhm,
During our last session, I talked about the different type of questions that we have in PMP in terms of difficulties. That's what they call easy questions. That's what they call moderate questions. That's what they call difficult questions. That's what they call expert questions. Okay, and a question that's difficult for someone can be easy for another person. One of the parameters that permits a question to be easy or difficult is the amount of knowledge you have related to that question. So, though the PMP does not expect you to be memorizing information, they expect you at least to know the principles, know the names, know the definitions, and everything. And this is a perfect example of such a question. Here, they are just testing if you know the meaning of all the documents that we have here.
mhm,
A project charter, a document that formally authorizes a project manager and gives the project manager authority to use organizational resources. So, from the question, we understand that no, we are not talking about a project charter. A management plan, a document that describes how the project will be executed, monitored, and controlled and closed. We are not talking about a project management plan. Benefit register, a document that describes the planned benefits of a project or program and supports tracking and communication of those benefits. No, that's not what we're talking about here. Business case, a document that justifies a project by describing the business need, expected benefits, and cost and feasibility. D. So the answer to this question is D, because just by the definition of the business case, you understand that that's what they are actually requesting from you in this particular question. Is that okay for everyone? Can we move to the next?
mhm.
Yeah, so the question is D, the business case. So, just some questions for you guys. If you are planning to have your PMP, what's your studying plan and what are the main difficulties that you actually face or your pain points that you have? Can anybody share with us? So, Ricardo, you can share with us because maybe they are not in positions of talking. Okay, Janelle,
Well,
you want to speak?
yeah, I have a few of them. I have been taking notes. So sometimes it says that it's easy, And I don't think it's easy, but I think I'm not thinking of it the right way. So here's one I had where a project manager and the team identified risks. And the question they asked me is how would assigning risk owners to risk responses help avoid delays? So I thought that it would ensure the risk response plan would be effective. But the answer was that risk owners are responsible for implementing appropriate risk response strategies. And then I think where I messed up is that I didn't read the question close enough, because the real thought was that delays in the response to risk events are affecting the project schedule. So sometimes they're very subtle. They're very, very subtle about it. And that's a pain point for me because it's so specific. So
Mhm.
it's like, are you identifying? Are you acting on it? Are you responsible for it? Are you assigned to it? And those all seem kind of like very, very close, very, very close. But I think the key to this one is that they were already impacted.
Mhm.
So they
Yeah,
didn't need to identify it, they were already impacted. We needed someone to take responsibility.
Yeah, you were in
exactly.
execution. You were in execution, not in planning. That's why you were
Right.
not planning the response, and you were not, the owner wasn't making, and actually the risk owner doesn't make sure that the response makes sense. That could be done through different tools or techniques. When you're in execution and the risk happens or is about to happen, because you could have triggers, that's
Mm-hmm.
when the risk owner has to act. So yes, I think that's the main point, the main pain point for everybody. It's very gray, right? Exam is very gray. I don't know, maybe William, from well, you just took it.
Y-
What made you help? I think verbs are very important. Act, assess, evaluate. Those things are very important. They can make a big change. So sometimes it could be like a reading test. So that's why the elimination process helps a lot, because some answers are very appealing, but maybe two or three are very good, but one of those is the best, I would say.
Yeah. And personally, I would say, obviously, Janelle, everybody faces that challenge. Personally, what permitted me to overcome that challenge is the coaching sessions. Okay. Because during my coaching session, I started understanding that, okay, when I read a question, I need to understand that in which phase are we? Planning, execution, closing? In which phase are we? Which type of project are we talking about? Is it agile? Is it waterfall? Is it iterative? What exactly are you talking about? You have to be able to identify the keywords as fast as possible, because obviously you don't have 2 minutes to answer a single question. You have like 1 minute 15 seconds. So just by reading rapidly, you should be able to identify the key words in the question. And lastly, when reading the questions, you can start from the last parts of the question. It helps you to easily identify the keywords when you'll be reading the scenario of the question. That's actually one of the things that I can tell that will definitely help you. So when you have these difficult questions, even if you answer them correctly, note them down. And if you have any coaching session, make sure that you bring up those type of questions, because personally, the type of questions I was bringing during the coaching session were not just the questions that I failed. If I fail a question, I look at the answer, I read, I understand, good and fine. I just let it go and pass. But if it's a question that I read the answer, I'm like, no, I'm not convinced. Okay, I don't understand. this and that. Okay, those are the type of question I was bringing, and talking with Ricardo really helped me at that particular level. So that's what I would advise you to do. Even the question that you have correct, and you are like, but I don't understand why it's correct. Okay, write them down. Ask if you have any coaching session, and definitely they're going to help.
Paul has a question.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
Paul.
yes, it's nice to for me to be with you today, but I have one question because English is not easy for me. The PMP exam, you have English version, French version, or only English version?
Hmm.
There's a French version. Don't be scared. There's a French version. You can take your exam in French. Okay, and there are also resources in French that can help you to prepare yourself. So definitely we can work on that. And as you already know, I'm perfectly bilingual. I do speak French, so I can help you with that.
I took it in Spanish, but I prepared in English mostly. I prepared in
Yes,
English and Spanish both, but I took it in Spanish myself.
yes, I saw your Spanish on LinkedIn, Ricardo. I saw it.
Yes, so
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So
So if I take two for the question, what is your study plan? For me, it's two hours per day to study to prepare the PMP. What are your main pain points? For me, it's consistency because I have a children job
Hmm.
and finish my school
Hmm.
at ETS Montreal. So yes, consistency. If can maintain 2 hours per day is correct for me. So to to win exam. So I have to get back to work now. Uh,
Mhm.
yes, my break is finished. I don't know how much time rest for the meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, it took longer than we expected. But if you have to go, you can actually go, and we're going to talk about your difficulties in details. We can talk in privately. We'll talk about it
Yeah.
in details and help you with that.
I can stay 1:30 before I will go.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, Ricardo, I will just allow you to talk about the different proposals that we have, and after that, we are going to take another question.
Okay, very good. So some of you already know and are already involved in this. We have coaching sessions, also a bundle from beginning to an end, where you can do when you can get the PMI membership, the exam voucher, um, uh, ATP, which is an authorized training partner by the PMI mock exam and course as well. So there are many options that you can consider in case you're preparing for PMP. I would add also to the comment that we just heard, 2 hours is good. The only thing I would recommend is what you're going to do in those 2 hours per day. I would recommend you to do 1 hour of reading or videos and 1 hour of questions, right? Because it's not about being entertained, but it's about a goal that you have, and that goal is going to hurt a little bit, and that is going to do have to do with the questions you do and the scores you get at the beginning. So yeah, I think that's the only thing I would have to say. If you need any coaching, we're here for you. If you need any resources or a path to do your application, we're here for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ricardo. So, the next question that we have is The project selection committee has approved a technology upgrade project for the production department. The project manager sends a mail to the identified project manager to start work on the project immediately. What should the project manager do? Let's just write our answer on the chat, or someone can open his mic to speak up. So while we are answering, I will have to make a comment. One thing that is tricky about these questions related to governance is that they can either be very easy questions when you are knowledgeable, or they can really be difficult when you don't have enough knowledge. I noticed that generally the questions related to governance are not always very difficult when you know the different processes. But when you don't know the documentation, the processes, and the tools, they become kind of very difficult to answer. But when you know it, they are really, really easy questions. Okay, perfect. So we have the answer to be B, just as we had Ramsey say in the chat. So request the production manager to issue the project charter, because we share the project charter is a document that gives authorization to the project manager to start
Mhm.
using the organizational resources to for the project. So it's actually very important for us to always start our project with the project charter. I think that's quite self-explicit. The next thing that we are going to see is another question. Can you help us to read the question, Ricardo, please?
A number of project selection methods can be applied by the selection committee. Which of the following statements is true with respect to project selection?
It's not true.
Sorry, my bad. Which of the following statement is not true? Very important, not
Yeah.
true.
So, Janelle, you see that if Ricardo was writing the test, he would have failed the question
Right.
because he didn't identify the key, a keyword.
Not. Yes. Except not. Those are tricky ones. Yes.
Yeah.
And I do lament that you're not able to write on the test.
Oh yeah,
What
you're
did you
not.
say? I did not get
If
you.
you could highlight or if you could
You.
circle, like
I
if
think
you're
you
a
can.
tactile learner, this is very visual only.
I think you have a toolbox, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Up in the
off to
right.
the side and then I don't know.
It's
It
digital.
just,
Yeah. It's not
yeah.
paper. I understand. Yes.
So which question, which answers we have for question three? Why we are answering very important. There in the PMP exam, you are going to have a lot of abbreviations. So you should get familiar to them. NPV, IRR, there are going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
SPI, CPI, SV, CV. You need to get used to them, okay? Because you are not always going to have the definition of each of those acronyms. So for this particular question, the answer is C. Project selection should be based only on financial benefits derived. No. Which other reason can we have that can help us to choose a project except from finances?
Social impact, maybe, or
Exactly.
market share, even legal requirement could
Illegal
be
requirements. Okay.
a selection criteria.
If we have if we are doing something in our plants that does not satisfy the regulatory inspections, and we need to be able to satisfy the legal requirements that can justify a project, even if that project does not bring any income to the company. So choosing a project is not only based on financial benefits as said in this sentence, so that's why it's wrong. NPV is simply the net present value, and IRR is the internal return rate, sorry, which is defined by each company, and they are time value. They are given by they are the value of money in time.
Mhm.
Competitive necessity and operating necessity for factors may also be considered. Obviously, if you want to become more competitive, that's a reason for you to choose a project. Estimated investment and projected cash flows and outflows should be as realistic as possible. So yeah, that's definitely reasons why you should choose a particular project.
Mhm.
So now, the key takeaways that we have from what we actually discussed during this session, the first is that governance is a full performance domain in PMBOK 8, not just a topic. Governance is in all the phases of your project. If you read your PM Book 8, you notice that we have 7 performance domains in the PM Book 8, and the only performance domain that really applies in all the 5 phases that we have is governance. Okay, and it is made up of 8 processes mapped closely to what you already have, as Ricardo explained to us in the PM book. Okay, so we have the integration, procurement, quality, and knowledge areas are now within the governance. That's very important to note in PM book 8. Obviously, agile and traditional approaches are both addressed in every process, and monitoring focuses on performance, not just reporting. Very important. We are not just talking about reporting, but about performance, and be aware of the metric risk. Okay, this falls again in the different things that you need to know as a project manager. So here's the end of the session. So I don't know, are there particular questions that you guys have? Are you having any question, Ricardo?
No, I really liked it. The questions were very clear and the topics. Thank you so much. And everybody, good luck building your plan for this 5 weeks or 3 weeks before your exam. And we are here for you if you need any help. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Very
exactly.
good job, William.
Okay, thank you guys, and I wish you a nice weekend.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye. Thank you.